Hello snowboarders of the internet, I'm your host Avran LeFeber, and in this video we're going to be reviewing the Jones Tweaker. That's right, new board, full twin with camber from Jones. This board features good old-fashioned traditional camber. So from contact point to contact point you have that arc of traditional camber that's going to give you all the load, pop, snap, and drive of this board. This board is available in 151, 154, 156, 157 wide, and 159. I rode this board at Copper Mountain on a sunny bluebird day with warmer temps. There was slush, chop, chunder, ice, perfect hero snow on the groomers, and I rode it with my Rome Black Label bindings and my K2 Thraxis boots. This is the softest board in the Jones lineup in my opinion. It's also the most predictable with its flex because it's a middle of the road park board. Now they do something different where they actually make the tip and tail a little bit stiffer so that it's more stable on landings. To be honest with you, I really didn't feel it too much, except when I was coming down on a jump, it just felt a little more stable. But what that is it starts out with this stiffer tip and tail and it progressively gets softer into the middle. And then you have a ton of torsional flex that really lets you tweak the board, hence the name the Tweaker. When it comes to that stability, yeah, on jumps and setting it down when you pop an ollie, it's nice, but when you're charging, you do feel chatter right underfoot. This board's super lively, it's not damp, you pretty much feel everything with this board. It makes sense. The section that should be the stiffest through the middle is actually the softest. So all that kinetic energy is going back underfoot and you're just gonna feel everything with it. Keep those knees bent because when you charge into choppy terrain, yeah, that tip's gonna push through, but then it's gonna bend right underfoot, and where's that energy gonna go? Right up into your knees and ankles. So be aware of that. There's two things that really add to the snap of this board. One, traditional camber. If you don't understand what traditional camber is, you should probably go watch one of my explain videos on that. Two, the blunted out shape pushes it right into that contact point with the camber, so when you load and you roll back, it abruptly snaps. And it snaps well. It's not the snappiest thing that I've been on, but it does more than enough to get the job done. It does take a little bit more load with that traditional camber just to get it up in the air, but you'll be happy with what it has. Now when it comes to jumps, it's actually better on jumps than it is like popping off a roller or a side hit. It just snaps off the lip and it goes further, deeper, and higher. That's really what it does. And when it comes down, you notice that reverse flex in the core profiling so that it's just a little more damp when you come down. If you set it down on the tail, you can just feel it in there. This board's totally at home on small to medium jumps. I think if you're gonna hit some of the bigger stuff, you probably want something a little beefier than this board because it's a little bit loose in my opinion. But it's got more than enough snap to boost you off the lip, or you can be laid back and just let the lip throw you. What I like about this board when it comes to buttering is the blunted shape, the 3D profiling, because there's a slight 3D shaping to it, and that reverse flex profile, so it's actually a little stiffer. You can put more weight and pressure into that tip or that tail and bend it from the center, and you can feel that center flex work, and that's just going to keep you locked in a butter. But then when you want to rebound, it'll snap the camber and you pop right back out of it. Basically, you can swizzle and sizzle with this board if you know what you're doing. I mean, buttering on camber takes a little bit more finesse, but it's well worth the outcome. Now when it comes to jibbing, this board locks into presses, and I mean it locks. Whether you're on the nose or the tail, you can feel it, but you're kicking your back knee in and flexing your front out, or vice versa, depending if you're doing a nose or a tail press, you can feel that board just flex and lock in and then snap out the end of the feature. When you go sideways, because there's more flex between the feet, it really bends right around the feature and it just hugs. It doesn't fully clap out unless you really disaster onto it, but it does hug right around and lock in so you can just slide right through it. So when it comes to carving on this board, this is where it lacks in my opinion. It just doesn't stay locked in. Yes, you can get it on edge, you can set an edge for quick setup turns to medium mellow carves, but when you really try to kick your knee in, flex the board and drive it off the tail, it just washes out. It doesn't let you lay a trench, and that 3D shaping and the blunt profile, it just feels loose. But that's not what this board's made for. Jones has other boards for that. So if you're like a park guy and you just need to set an edge when you're coming into a feature or just a carve to get around a fat skier that got in your way, yeah, you'll be fine with it. But if you're trying to drive a hard carve outside the park, you're really going to be lacking with it. And that's fine. That's not what this board's designed for. So who cares? Who really cares? It's a park board. Who's this board for? The 3D shaped, loving, camber riding park guy that wants a board that's just a little bit softer. So this board kind of reminds me of a more camber dominant Mind Expander twin. It really lacks the power to drive a hard carve, but that's fine because it's loose. It's a park board. That's what it's supposed to be. It's not a bad board by any means. It's just not the right board for me, for my style of park riding. But I think for someone that wants 3D shaping to elevate that contact point, that doesn't care about railing a harder carve and just wants something that's going to be easier to press, lock in, be able to pop off a lip, it's going to be totally fine. Like I said, it's not the board for me. I know it's not the board for me, but it wasn't bad. It's just really funny riding a bunch of Jones stuff that this thing was just so loose compared to everything else in their line. Comparable boards, the Battalion Evil Twin, the Ride Zero, the Solomon Huck Knife. Binding recommendations, the Jones Mercury, the Ride C6, the Battalion Astro ASIM. This has been my review of the Jones Tweaker. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you own one? Are you gonna buy one? Leave me a comment down below. Let's have a conversation about this snowboard. If you're new here, remember to subscribe, click the bell, get those notifications. That way you're not missing any of the videos we got coming out for all you snowboarders of the internet. And if you really like what we're doing and you want to support us further, swing on over to Angry Snowboarder VIP and become a member. Sure, I could tell you more here, but I got a video over there that explains it so much better. As always, I've been your host, Avran LeFeber, and I'll see you in another video.